Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, for those of you that are looking for a really good rhythm guitar lesson, this is a great one because we're going to be doing our right hand and left hand, syncing it all up, strum patterns with the right hand, different chord voicings with the left hand, and putting it all together for a real classic rock, old school blues rhythm. It sounds like something you might hear from the Stax record days, and it's a lot of fun to play. It's one of these things that you can't stop once you get it going, and it's really not as hard as it may sound. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we're going to take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and get the MP3 jam track and the tablature, you can get all of that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP255. Alright, so if you haven't subscribed to the Active Melody YouTube channel yet, make sure you click the subscribe button and also click the alert bell. And the reason you want to do that is because I put out new lessons like this every week, and it's a great way for you to stay notified in real time. Alright, so let's break down this song. So we're going to be playing this in the key of A. And the first thing I want you to do is visualize the A major bar chord. That's where you bar here on the 5th fret, and these three fingers are making the E chord shape. The reason you want to visualize these chord shapes like this, or this bar chord, is I want you to tie everything we're about to learn back to this chord shape so that you can use all of this stuff in any key going forward. So if we're playing something in the key of G, you can visualize that G bar chord shape, and then all these things we're about to learn, you can connect them back to that. It'll make sense as we get into it. So anyway, think about that in the back of your mind. And the first chord voicing we're going to learn is an A chord up here. Now this is played using the D chord shape. So think about a D chord down in first position. If you were to slide that all the way up so that your index and middle finger are on the 9th fret, that's an A chord. Now you're only playing the top 3 strings when you do that. It's an A triad. It means 3 notes. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, by the way, we're gonna start with the left hand, and then we're gonna get into the right hand strumming in a minute. So there's the first one. The next one is right here. That's a B minor chord. So we're gonna bar the first 3 strings on the 7th fret. Easy to play. A, B. The next chord is also an A chord, but we're going to play it right here. So this is another voicing for the A chord. Now I'm barring the first 2 strings on the 5th fret with my index finger. My middle finger goes down on the 6th fret, 3rd string. Easy chord to play. The other way you might want to think about this is that bar chord shape. It's just the top 3 strings. That's all you need out of that. So now you have an A, a B minor, and an A. So if we're thinking about the number system, you have a 1, 2, 1. Now if you remember nothing else in this entire lesson, I want you to remember these 3 chord voicings and how they connect back to your chord shape. That way in the future, if you want to use them when you're improvising, you can put these in any order and they're going to sound good. As long as the song is in a major key, it's going to work. So that way, if you're playing something in G, you can see how they all connect back to your G chord shape, right? So just try that out if you want. You try playing them along with something else and you'll see what I mean. So that includes that minor 2. So you can always work in that minor 2 chord as well. So getting back to our song, the strum pattern that we're going to learn now goes like this. Notice what's happening there. First of all, with the right hand, it's the same pattern. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm emphasizing the down. And the reason you do that is to give it more of a shuffle feel. The other thing is I'm only playing on the top 3 strings. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Practice that. Mute the strings with your left hand and do this at whatever tempo you're comfortable with, but just down, up, down, up, down, up. Over and over again until you start to feel it. You start to feel like a drummer. So once you have that down, here's how we're going to play this. When I do the downstroke, we're going to play the chord, and when I do the upstroke, we're going to do a muted up. So it sounds like this. You can see that every other one was a muted upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down. Those are those chords, voicings we just learned. A, B minor, A. Okay, so just start with that. Now we're going to introduce our pinky. I use my pinky. You may want to use your ring finger on the 7th fret, 2nd string. So we have. You keep these 3 fingers down, that little triad there, and then you add your pinky there, 7th fret, 2nd string, and then take it off. So we're back to the A, and then we add it back again, and then this time we do an upstroke and play the notes. We're playing strings 1 and 2 at that point. So we have, you can see that last one is the upstroke. Now after I played that last upstroke, I did a down, up, down, muted down, up, down. All right, I know that may sound confusing, but it's actually pretty consistent. So let's try doing it really slowly. We'll do it together if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now the second time, so you do down, up, down. I slid into that A chord that time, and I did it with an upstroke. So I'm starting the second time with an upstroke. So it looks like this. Muted up, and then we're back to where we were. Again. Just remember when you do that, you're doing an upstroke. It doesn't make sense to do that on a downstroke because you're keeping your hand in motion. Alright, so and that's really the strum pattern for those 3 chords. So let me back up and play through that slowly. And I repeated that 3 times. So let me start it from the beginning. The first time I did not slide. I started right on the note, right on the beat. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Now this time I went, the last time I went, and walked down to the D chord, or the 4 chord. So that little harmonized lead part goes, all I'm doing, here's how you want to think about it. Think of that first A chord triad that we played. We're just going to play strings 1 and 2 out of that. Again, we're going to keep the right hand in motion, down, up, down. So it's downstroke, but I'm sliding into that. So it's down, down, slide, up, down. And then we're going to take that chord shape, or those 2 fingers rather, and slide those down 2 frets. Down, up, down. So in that case, our middle finger is on the 7th fret, 1st string, ring finger's on the 8th fret, 2nd string. So we have, and then we have this chord shape. So our index finger's on the 5th fret, 1st string, and then ring fingers on the 7th fret, 2nd string. Now all I'm doing here when I'm playing these are called harmonized thirds. So we have, now from here I walked it down 1 step and then 1 more step, all the way down to here. Now I want you to remember all of that little run there and how it relates back to the key that we're in. And that way you can use that in the future. If you like the sound of that, you can remember that comes from this little triad. And you can use that same run. And it's just walking right down the major scale. So we're walking it down to this D chord, which is the 4 chord. Now once I came down to there, I went, hit the 4th string, the open 4th string, which is the D note. And then I play this. And what I'm playing here is I'm playing a D chord. Think of this chord shape, that A chord shape, but I'm playing the top 3 strings out of that. So that's where we've got our middle finger and our ring finger on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 3. Index finger is on the 5th fret, 1st string. It's a D chord. It's a D triad. You're just playing it up here on the top 3 strings. And what I played was I went down, up, up. Notice my pinky goes down there on the 8th fret, 1st string to create that 7th chord sound. So we have open D string, and then down, up, and then I repeated it. And then I went and played 2 D7 chords down here. I'm not sure where I got this rhythm thing, but I've heard this in other blues songs, something similar. And I almost want to say there's a horn section that I got this from. So when I'm playing this, those are upstrokes, up, up. And that's just a D chord shape, D7 chord shape right here. So think of a C chord, first position, slide that up, and then add your pinky there on the 5th fret 3rd string and play the middle 4 strings. All right, so let's take it from the walk down to get us into that 4 chord. We have and then we go right back to the 1 chord, same thing. And then I went and hit the low E string, because now we're going to the 5 chord. So I hit that open 6th string, and then I came up here and played. This is a really cool technique because it's easy to remember. So I'm playing an E7 chord, but I'm using an E7 triad right here. Now here's how you're going to play it. We're going to bar the first 3 strings on the 9th fret, and then use your ring finger, middle finger, which is ever's more comfortable, on the 10th fret 1st string. And that's an E7 chord. Now remember that chord and connect it back to another E chord shape. So if you think your E chord like this, so that's your A chord shape, if you're playing it there, you can remember to replace that with your index finger and play an A7 or an E7 right there. And that's really the same as like an A7 chord shape. You're just sliding it up. That's another way to think about it. But I always like to connect it back to this chord shape. So if I'm ever playing an E chord, I can always grab that really cool 7th triad. And then I'm using my pinky up here on the 12th fret 1st string. So we have, and that just makes it a full E chord that way. And there's a lot of blues stuff you could do. You could play around with this and come up with all kinds of little turnarounds and things, and even work that kind of stuff into your lead playing. Okay, so from the E, and then instead of going back to the 4 chord, I went to a diminished 7 chord. I went to the A diminished 7 chord and went. And remember that going forward, if you want to skip the 4 chord and when you're going back through the 12 bar blues, you could play that diminished 7 chord of whatever key you're in. So in this case it would be an A diminished 7. So here's how you make the chord. Think of a D7 chord shape down in 1st position. Slide that up so that your pinky and your ring finger are on the 8th fret, strings 1 and 3. And then just add your index finger now to the 7th fret 4th string. And it makes a little box there. And what's nice about a diminished chord like this is you can take that same chord shape and slide it up 1, 2, 3 frets. And do it again, 1, 2, 3. You can just keep going, 1, 2, 3. It's the same chord. It's just, and it's, even though you don't have to change your fingers, you just slide it up or down. So we have, and that's how I strummed it. And then after that, we go right back to the 1 chord. And then I came down and hit a 5 chord, a little turnaround. So that's just the same. I made it to there and then hit the low E string and just played a full E chord. And then we go into part 2. Part 2 gets into a whole different, it's kind of introducing more of a lead aspect. A lot of fun. But putting these 2 parts together and playing along with a jam track is an excellent practice. Okay, so let's back up now, and one more time I'm going to play through all of this slowly so you have this one final, I can't get it out, you have one final reference of this, and then I'll see you in part 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.